There are ghost stories, and then there are stories that make you question everything. Time, reality, even your own memories. Tonight, we're diving into one of the strangest, most chilling paranormal cases ever reported, a story that defies logic, baffles investigators, and terrifies anyone who hears it. This isn't just a haunting. It's a complete mystery. And here's the kicker, no one has ever been able to explain what happened. So grab your blanket, dim the lights, and get ready. Because what you're about to hear, we still don't have answers for. Before we begin, make sure you hit that subscribe button and tap the bell icon, or something might follow you home tonight. The unsolved haunting of Room 313. Let's start with a haunting that's been silenced for decades. The story begins in 1971, in a small town in West Virginia. A traveling businessman, let's call him Thomas, checked into the third floor of a historic hotel known as the Wexler Inn. Room 313. He was supposed to check out the next morning, but he never did. When staff entered the room, they found his luggage, shoes neatly placed, and a half-eaten dinner on the table, still warm. But Thomas was gone. No sign of forced entry, no signs of struggle. Security footage? Vanished. Literally, that reel of tape from the camera outside 313 was missing. And here's the weird part, they never found him. Not in the hotel. Not in town. Not anywhere. Locals say Room 313 had a reputation, even before this incident. Housekeepers refused to clean it alone. Guests often complained of cold spots, whispering voices, and seeing someone standing in the mirror, someone who wasn't there when they turned around. Speculation corner. Was Thomas taken by something? Did the room swallow him? Or, and here's a thought, was Room 313 never a normal room at all? Audience prompt. What would you do if a family member disappeared in a locked hotel room with no trace? Would you believe in the supernatural? The coat that whispers now for a bizarre tale from Yorkshire, England. A vintage clothing store owner named Lily bought a coat from a local estate auction. A thick brown wool overcoat from the 1930s. Nothing unusual, until customers began saying the coat whispered to them. Lily dismissed it as imagination, until she heard it too. Late one night, as she closed up the shop, she heard a soft male voice whisper, "It was never supposed to end like that." She spun around. No one there. Over the weeks, the coat seemed to move on its own. Customers who tried it on reported sudden waves of sorrow, like someone had just died. Turns out, the coat belonged to a man named Ellis Grange, who was accused of murdering his brother in 1932, then disappeared before trial. They found only his coat. Folded. Covered in blood. Lily donated the coat to a museum of haunted artifacts. It now sits in a glass case, sealed and under surveillance. Hypothetical scenario. Imagine buying a thrifted coat, only to find it carries not just memories, but a trapped soul. Would you ever try on a haunted coat, just to see what happens? The Vanishing boy of Echo Lane back in 1994, a suburban neighborhood in Oregon, became the center of a case that still haunts parents today. 8-year-old Jacob Myers was riding his bike on Echo Lane, a cul-de-sac of only 6 homes. His mom waved from the porch. That was the last time anyone saw him. Minutes later, his bike was found perfectly upright, pedals still spinning. No footprints. No signs of a car. No sound. Nothing. The FBI launched a massive search. Drones. Dogs. Helicopters. They even dug up backyards. But it was as if the boy had been erased. And here's where it gets weirder. A year later, a neighbor, Mrs. Hadley, reported hearing Jacob's voice outside her house, whispering, "Mom? I can't find the way back." But Mrs. Hadley died of a heart attack that same night. Multiple residents claim they still hear a child's voice calling for help, but only on the anniversary of his disappearance. Speculative theory. Could Jacob have slipped into another dimension? A time glitch? Some believe Echo Lane is a thin place, a point where our world overlaps with another. Have you ever felt like reality glitched? Like something was just not right. The ghost radio that predicts death. This tale comes from a retired Army officer named Darnell who lived in Mississippi. He found an old World War II radio at a garage sale. It didn't work, or so he thought. One night, it turned on by itself and began playing a voice transmission in German, despite being unplugged. The voice, translated later, said, "Death walks in the 4th room. You have 2 nights." Darnell lived alone. But on the 2nd night, a burglar broke into his home, and was killed when he fell through the attic floor trying to escape. Terrified, Darnell stored the radio in the attic. But it kept turning on, and each time, the transmission seemed to predict another death. A neighbor. A mailman. Even a friend of his. Experts who examined it said the wires inside weren't connected to anything. Was the radio cursed? Or was it tapping into something beyond us? Would you keep a radio that predicts death? Or destroy it, risking the consequences? Bonus: the house that wasn't there, but then it was. This story circulated online in early 2000s forums. A couple driving through rural Tennessee got lost one foggy night. They stumbled upon a gorgeous Victorian mansion with lights on and music playing inside. It looked out of place, too pristine. They knocked, hoping to use a phone. No one answered. But the door creaked open. Inside, spotless furniture, fresh flowers, candles lit, but no people. A fire burned in the hearth. Spooked, they left. When they returned the next day with police, the house was gone. Just open field. No ruins. Not even a foundation. Locals say they might have driven into a time slip. A momentary overlap with the past. Or something pretending to be the past. Commentary. Stories of phantom buildings aren't new. Ancient tales speak of fairy dwellings that vanish at sunrise. But in the age of GPS and satellite maps, shouldn't we be able to prove they exist? Or is that the point? So, what do all these stories have in common? They defy explanation. A man vanishes from a locked room. A coat whispers secrets of murder. A child disappears in daylight, but his voice remains. A radio speaks to the dead. A house that exists, only when it wants to. Are these just ghost stories? Or glimpses into other dimensions, fractured timelines, and cosmic mysteries we barely understand? The truth is, we still don't know. But maybe, just maybe, the next story like this will come from your neighborhood. Which story chilled you the most? And have you ever experienced something you just can't explain? Let us know in the comments. We read every single one. If you enjoyed tonight's dive into the unexplained, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell. We have more terrifying tales coming your way. Sleep tight,